to start today's Finance Committee hearing. The purpose of this hearing is to review City Council's amendments to the 2020 operating budget. There will be an opportunity to offer public testimony at the end of our prepared agenda. If you would like to provide public comment and you haven't done so already, please fill out a speaker slip in the back there. And speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. After receiving the mayor's proposed budget in November, City Council held 8 public hearings to review its provisions and collect public feedback. Many of these hearings took place outside City Hall and in the neighborhoods, so I would like to make a special shout out to CTV for their hard work in that process. As a body, City Council leveraged the feedback from our hearing process and from each member's extensive, ongoing community engagement throughout the year to establish our collective priorities for the 2020 operating budget. Our priorities are focused in 3 themes or areas: pathways out of poverty, good paying jobs, and strong neighborhoods. Each year, Council considers 3 separate ordinances that make up the city's overall operating budget: a general fund ordinance, an other funds ordinance, and then select additional other funds ordinance. The first 2 were amended at this past Monday's regular council meeting and are the subject of today's hearing. Those amendments were $500,000 additional dollars into the rainy day fund. That brings the total 2020 deposit into the rainy day fund to $3 million, which will result in a 2020 year-end balance in the rainy day fund of approximately $85 million, with the new goal to achieve $90 million by the end of 2024. We made this investment because of the critical need to prepare for any possible outcomes as our city grows. We also are investing a total of $5.328 million across multiple areas to enhance the budget and accomplish Council's priorities. That funding will be allocated to the Council sub-funds for jobs growth, neighborhood initiatives, and public safety initiatives. The funds will also be directed to the Housing Division, the Fire Division, Neighborhoods Department, Columbus Public Health, and Recreation and Parks. Today's hearing is an opportunity for council members to highlight the amendments they sponsored through this process through sponsor testimony. I want to thank each of my colleagues for their hard work, for holding committee hearings to review the budget and receive feedback, for work throughout the year connecting with residents and neighborhoods, and for using that base of information to identify priorities collaboratively. My goal as finance chair is to bring together all that hard work of the administration, of my colleagues, to put forth a budget that ensures council is growing in an equitable way. That means confronting the challenges families face and putting forth bold solutions. So today, I look forward to hearing from my colleagues and how they see our work to do just that. The amendments we've introduced align spending priorities with the needs of our growing city. I want to highlight that this is the 2nd year we've established collective priorities as a council. In 2019, we identified and supported a broad range of initiatives through budget amendments: eviction prevention, litter mitigation, healthy local food access, job training, housing support for pregnant women, expanded infrastructure for CPD body-worn cameras, support for the Columbus Labor Management Committee, and more. Before handing the microphone to my colleagues for their sponsor testimony, I will quickly highlight one of my sponsored amendments in 2020. We will be allocating $100,000 for a citywide study to analyze the early childhood education landscape in order to increase access to affordable, high-quality services for all Columbus families. We want to understand the choices that families with children are making, what services they currently have access to or don't have access to, and how we can break down barriers to receiving quality services. Quality early childhood education is not just about preparing our children for success in the future, although that's a crucial component. It also provides parents with peace of mind knowing that they have a safe, nurturing place for their kids to learn and grow during the day, providing those parents the flexibility they need to go to work themselves. I truly believe investing in early childhood education is one of the best investments we can make. It prepares our kids for success, it supports the financial security of families, and it supports our economy today and into the future. I am proud to offer this amendment to the budget. I'd now like to turn the microphone over to President Hardin for his remarks on sponsor testimony.
Thank you, Chair Brown. I want to specifically say thank you to your team and Kelsey and James and everyone for your leadership in helping us get here today. I'm proud of this budget. I'm also proud of the process in which Council has laid out and has executed. Certainly want to thank Director Lombardi and all of the directors for working with Council members on their specific priorities. The Mayor's team, Ken Paul, and then Council staff, Matt Erickson, and Chief Mike Brown for their work to get us here. I really just want to reiterate something you said in terms of the process. This was the most engaged budget process this council has ever undertaken. The hearings that left City Hall to go out to the people, I was very proud of. Hundreds of folks participated in public hearings on the budget. Directors know that is not common. To have that type of turnout for budget hearings. And so I was very appreciative of the process, proud that we were open, accessible, and that folks took us up on that. This morning I am here to speak, not as Council President, but as Chair of the Small and Minority Business Committee. I held my hearing last month at the King Arts Complex, and we had about 60 small business owners, entrepreneurs, and residents who came out to help shape our 2020 small business budget. We heard three themes at that hearing. First, we heard about the need to help small business owners find training and services. Many folks said that they either didn't know how or didn't know where to look to find assistance or didn't know what would be most useful to their business. Second, we heard about the difficulties many small and minority businesses have when attempting to do business with the city. Residents reiterated some of the same barriers and opportunities identified in our disparity study. Third, we heard about barriers entrepreneurs have assessing loans and capital. So with this information, we worked with the Department of Development and the Office of Diversity and Inclusion to ensure that we are aligning the budget with the residents' priorities. So included in the 2020 budget is more than $1 million of new funding for small and minority business initiatives. As a part of the small business agenda, the City of Columbus will be undertaking 3 efforts to address those 3 themes. The first is the Department of Development will be leading the effort to create a new online small business portal that helps entrepreneurs find and navigate support opportunities that currently exist within the city. This includes training, shared services, and grant opportunities. Second, to address some of the barriers businesses face when attempting to contract with the city, the Office of Diversity and Inclusion will be moving full steam ahead to implement the recommendations of the disparity study, and that effort is fully funded. Third, the Department of Development will be expanding training and mentoring as a part of the Accelerate Columbus program, including an increased focus on capital readiness to ensure all small businesses know how to access capital and are ready for those steps. 2020 is going to be an important year for small business in the City of Columbus. The recently released Small Business Agenda provides a powerful, coordinated vision to help align the city's efforts with outside organization. Council is excited to provide these new resources to help push that agenda forward and support our small and minority business community in Columbus. Thank you, Chair Brown.
Thank you so much, President Hardin. Next, we will hear from Council Member Mitchell Brown.
Good morning, Council President, Chair Brown. My budget priorities for public safety include providing both fire and police divisions with the necessary tools for them to perform their duties in the most efficient and effective manner. The amendment I want to share with you this morning will be to support increasing the authorized strength of civilian personnel in the medical training section of the Division of Fire. Currently, the Division of Fire reassigns full-time uniformed firefighters to conduct EMS training to our EMTs and paramedics. The Division of Fire incurred overtime costs in 2017, 2018, and 2019 directly associated with EMS training. Increasing the medical training section's authorized strength by 3 full-time civilian trainers will allow the Division of Fire to maintain their excellent standards for pre-hospital emergency care while reducing overtime costs for uniformed personnel. Public safety continues to be the mayor's and this city council's #1 priority. At this time, I would like to ask Fire Chief Kevin O'Connor to provide some brief background information on the necessary training requirements for EMTs and paramedics to maintain their certification. Chief O'Connor?
Thank you. Council President, Council members, thank you for this opportunity to speak on this matter. Currently, the Division of Fire is required by state statute to provide 90 hours of continuing education to every one of our paramedics over a 3-year cycle, and our EMT basics 62 hours over that same 3-year cycle. So that equates to about just under 40,000 hours annually of continuing education that's required to be provided in-house by our personnel. Currently, we have civilian staff that provide that and provide a very consistent basis of that, but due to the sheer demand of trying to provide this continuing education to 1,600 firefighters on an annual basis, it's not enough. We have consistently, for the 5 years that I've been the fire chief, we have to rely on uniformed personnel to come in on overtime to assist in that instruction. What we're really seeing here is, while this is an expansion of the budget in our position in additional civilian personnel, it should be more than offset by the reduction in overtime, because currently we have those same 3 instructors every day, but they are uniformed firefighters on overtime that are either taken away from their normal assignment and then backfilled there, or these are people that are called in to provide that instruction. So this is not only making sure that we are one of only a handful of fire departments in the entire country that has an EMS education agency that is accredited by national standards. That accreditation means that we provide the highest standards in industry and the best professional education. To do this, the civilian staff will help us to do that, and this is the most economic and efficient way that we see to operate in this manner, and I appreciate Councilmember Brown's support in presenting this as an amendment.
Chair Brown, that's really all I had this month with regards to my amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Brown and Chief O'Connor. Next, we will hear sponsor testimony from Councilmember Emmanuel Remy. We're going in seniority order, not alphabetical, so it's a little different.
Mix it up a little bit, right? I want to thank you, President Pro Tem Brown, and your team for all the hard work that you put into the budget this year to get us to this point. Certainly appreciate the hard work that you put forth. Certainly thank our legislative research team, Matt Erickson and his staff, and of course our comms team, who's done a good job at getting the information out throughout the public hearings and getting us here today. The mayor and Ken Paul for their cooperation in supporting these amendments. It's been a very good process this year, and I'm happy that we've gotten to this point. During my tenure on council, I have met residents, advocates, and organizations that support services to the immigrant, refugee, and new American communities. One very important concern that was made clear by all is the lack of independence with residents with limited English proficiency they have when they're engaging with the city. Some have to seek assistance from family or friends, including children, while others in emergency situations have had to turn to their aggressors. We need change. And this is why I am humbled to offer an amendment to the operating budget to provide funding for a robust City of Columbus language access policy. Columbus is a welcoming city that is home to residents from all corners of the world. We are proud of our growth, we are proud of our diversity, and soon we will be proud that every current, future, and potential resident will have a more equitable experience accessing the services that the city offers. It is important to us that every resident, regardless of their English proficiency, have tools readily available to communicate with city representatives more independently anytime they engage with the City of Columbus, especially in emergency situations. Some of these tools will include face-to-face interpretation, over-the-phone interpretation, document translation, interpretation support materials such as posters that might be readily available to identify which language they speak. These are just a few of the things that come along with a language access policy. Bottom line is we want to show that we are absolutely a welcoming city throughout every office within the City of Columbus. We want to make sure that Columbus is welcoming and accessible to all, and we hope this policy takes us one step further in achieving this goal. Thank you very much, President Pro Tem Brown. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Remy. Next, we will hear sponsor testimony from Councilmember Shayla Favor.
Thank you, Council President Pro Tem Brown, for your leadership throughout this budget process. I agree with Council President Hardin. You and your team have made a concerted effort to engage with each council member to ensure that our priorities were reflected in the proposed amendments. Thank you. Although I serve as the chair of Council's Housing Committee, I believe all of us here recognize affordable housing as one of the greatest challenges we face here in Columbus, and we are making some progress in this area. Just in the past year, Columbus voters passed a $50 million bond issue for affordable housing. City and business leaders established the Housing Action Fund, committing $100 million to projects that will be managed by the Affordable Housing Trust. MORPC launched a regional housing study that will make recommendations for Columbus and our neighboring jurisdictions, and Council established the $300,000 Eviction Prevention Fund to support families in need of emergency rental assistance and legal representation in eviction court. This is all great progress, but we must do more. We know that 54,000 families in our community are spending over 50% of their income on housing, and that leaves little room left for other necessities like childcare, education, or transportation. Our city continues to grow each day, and over the next 20 to 25 years, we will add an additional 1 million residents. We cannot afford to ignore this problem. As we continue to develop our plan for tackling the issue of affordable housing in Columbus, it is imperative that we increase capacity within the Department of Development Housing Division to support the expansion of the city's affordable housing toolkit. This is not about changing our current practices, but it is about expanding our ability to develop solutions to address our city's housing needs. Examples of how an affordable housing liaison could help expand the toolkit include working with the housing administrator on an innovative and creative affordable housing ideas, developing positive relationships with prospective developers that have smaller-sized affordable housing projects, researching national trends and reviewing best practices, and much, much more. I look forward to working directly with Interim Director Stevens and the Department of Development to implement the solution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Favor. And next, we will hear from Councilmember Rob Dorans with his sponsored testimony.
And seniority finds me.
Finally.
First, want to again share my thanks to Finance Chair Brown and her staff for the hard work on this budget legislation that's in front of us. Also to our research staff here at Council, President Hardin and the administration for all the work that they've done to make sure that we've got a good budget in front of us today. Just want to say I also appreciate the effort of those folks who work with every council office to help to identify and address the key priorities of council, to build pathways out of poverty, to create good paying jobs, and to strengthen neighborhoods. These are represented in the budget amendments that we're talking about here today, and very pleased to be here to do so. I'm pleased that we as a body have worked with the administration to find numerous opportunities to address these priorities as a council. One program in particular that I'm proud we're able to make a significant investment in is the Building Futures Pre-Apprenticeship Program. Building Futures is a one-of-a-kind partnership between local government, the Columbus Building Trades and its union affiliates, and the Columbus Urban League. This program creates a direct pathway out of poverty and into the middle class for the unemployed or the chronically underemployed members of our community. First, enrollees of the program are provided with an intensive employment wraparound service by the Columbus Urban League. The second part of the program provides individuals the opportunity to learn from building trades apprenticeship instructors about basic construction skills. At the conclusion of the 12-week program, students are ready to enter into one of 14 different union apprenticeship programs, which will put them and their families on a path to a supportive career that includes a living wage, health care, and retirement benefits. Past program graduates have been lifted out of homelessness and into the middle class. A stable career that features living wages, health care, and retirement benefits is one of the best poverty reduction tools we have as a society, which is why I'm so pleased that the City of Columbus will be able to step up to the plate and help fund one of these classes through this operating budget. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the Franklin County Commissioners for their work to help get this program off the ground, and the Columbus Building Trades and their affiliate unions for once again not only helping to build our skilled workforce here locally, but for thinking outside the box and offering these kinds of life-changing apprenticeship opportunities to those in our community that may have not had the access to them before. Thank you, Chair Brown, for the opportunity to discuss this budget amendment today, and look forward to the future.
Great, thank you so much, Councilmember Dorans. We do have, Councilmember Priscilla Tyson was unable to be here today because she's out of town, but we do have a video from her with her sponsor testimony. So I'm just going to riff while the technical support.
Good morning.
Perfect.
Unfortunately, I'm unable to join my council colleagues in person at today's hearing on the 2020 operating budget. I am currently at a National League of Cities policy roundtable discussing many of the pressing issues that we are prioritizing in this budget. I would also like to thank President Pro Tem Elizabeth Brown for leading us through the budget process. I appreciate this opportunity to share my priorities. As I consider issues that need to be addressed in our city, I'm committed to supporting initiatives that enhance the quality of life for our Columbus residents. For example, I will continue to invest in the Local Food Action Plan. In 2017, we began implementing the plan. The goals of the food plan include enhancing coordination and communication among existing food resources and agencies, improving access and education about healthy food, affordable food, and local food, increasing the role of food in economic development, and lastly, preventing food-related waste. I am proud of the progress we have made over the last several years. There's much work to be done to accomplish these goals. My priorities for 2020 support for the implementation of the Local Food Action Plan include support for the growth and expansion of farmers markets in the city of Columbus through training and technical assistance for market managers, market shopper coupons, market day supplies to support new vendors and resources to support markets and accepting SNAP, EBT, and participating in nutrition incentive programs. Enhanced civic agriculture in the City of Columbus through the Community Garden Grant, funding to build the organizational capacity of urban farms and gardens, training and technical assistance for growers to help them produce more food and offer free soil testing. Increase access to nutrition and food system education for pre-K through 12 students in the City of Columbus by providing classrooms, tools, and resources for elementary and middle school classrooms, supporting training and technical assistance for teachers, and supporting agriculture career pathway programs at high schools. I'm also looking forward to continuing the work of the Commission on Black Girls. The purpose of the Commission is to enhance the quality of life of Black girls, focusing on ages 11 to 22. In 2018, I created the Commission because we know that Black women are being evicted, they're in the homeless shelter, experience infant mortality at significantly higher rates than white women. In Ohio, Black women are twice as likely to live in poverty as compared to white women with similar education. Between the ages of 18 and 34, they're experiencing the highest rates of poverty in our state. To change the trajectory of the lives of Black women, Black girls must be given the resources and benefits to improve their quality of life and the tools to help them make good long-term decisions. Research and information received by the Commission has demonstrated that services which provide mentorship and leadership development, along with educational opportunities to enhance academic support, are important elements to help Black girls thrive, which is why at the end of 2019, I funded several organizations that provide mentorship and leadership programming for Black girls, including the Delta Academy and Delta Gems offered by Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, From Girls to Pearls, the Rites of Passage, the ArcGenet Club offered by the Zeta Phi Beta Sorority, the Alpha Sigma Omega program offered by the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and Brown Girls Mentoring. The Commission expects to release its report this spring and will be prioritizing recommendations included in the report and making additional investments to support opportunities for Black girls in Central Ohio. As mentioned, I am committed to supporting initiatives that enhance the quality of life for all Columbus residents. While the Local Food Action Plan and the Commission on Black Girls meets that objective, I know there are many other challenges in our community. Therefore, I will continue working in the area of minority health by making investments for programming and support people living with sickle cell. We know affordable housing is important in this community. We need increased access to stable and supportive housing for vulnerable populations, with particular consideration for seniors and individuals with prior evictions. I'm happy to work with Councilmember Shayla Favor to continue to support COAAA in their efforts to help seniors and maintain housing. And finally, I plan on working with my council colleagues and community stakeholders to identify strategies that allow us to increase support to social service agencies. In closing, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to share my 2020 budget priorities, and I am confident that the budget amendments being proposed today will move the city forward in a positive direction.
Thank you so much to Councilmember Tyson's team for helping us make sure her priorities were reflected today as her busy schedule took her to important engagements elsewhere. So thank you very much for that, Carl and Nicole. So I want to thank each of my council members for being here today, for giving your time and energy to this process. I want to thank President Hardin for being so supportive of the Finance Committee efforts. When you appointed me Finance Chair just 2 years ago, we talked a lot about opening up the budget process, really creating a process that helped to realize the passion of each of the council members and put that stamp on the budget. So I want to thank you, President Hardin. I think that we are focused on building out a process that's open to the public and responsive to the needs of the residents, because it is a reflection of, I said this at the beginning, but the ongoing work of council members that are just out in the community every day. So thank you for bringing that energy from your ongoing work and really investing that in the budget that we've put together. I'm proud of the great strides we're making today. Before I close, I do want to do a couple more thank yous. My team, Kelsey Ellingson and James Carmine, just did an incredible amount of work preparing this budget for presentation, preparing this hearing, but really all of the hard work to get the budget to the place that we can pass as a full council. So thank you, Kelsey, and thank you, James. To Matt Erickson, too, and to Mike Brown, I really, really appreciate the coordination to get us here today. So, seeing no further business before council and before today's finance hearing. Is there any public testimony? Anyone that did not fill out a speaker slip that would like to come to the podium? It's okay if not. Just giving you that last chance. All right. Well, seeing no further business, I really appreciate everyone being here today. Thank you to the administration, to Director Lombardi, for all of the hard work on an ongoing basis that your team puts in. And we look forward to final consideration and hopeful passage on Monday. Thank you.